I think we'll make a start. Welcome, everyone. We would like to acknowledge this land that we meet on today is the traditional lands of the Gawler people, and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Gawler people as the custodians of the Greater Adelaide region, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Gawler people today. No apologies? No? Okay. Motions to grant leave of absence? No leave of absence. We have one non-attendance. Yep, good. She may yet turn up. She has to come from work, so she may be a bit late. Are there any declarations of interest? Someone like to move the confirmation of the minutes, please? Diane, and seconded Helen. Any discussion of the minutes? Anything that anyone wants to raise not coming up in the agenda? If not, those in favour please show. Against? Carried. Is there any business rising from the minutes that's not on the agenda? If not, we'll move on to 6.1. Jacinta, would you like to lead us through that? Thank you.
Apologies. I'd just like to bring the committee's attention the sheer number of heritage inquiries that we received this quarter. In the previous 3 reporting quarters, we had between 21 and 38. This time we've got 65. In the first 11 days of this month, we've had 10 inquiries. So again, we're on track to have a sizable number. And I just wanted to tell you that one of the inquiries here was from an assistant producer of the program, the SBS program, Who Do You Think You Are? The SBS program, Who Do You Think You Are? So they were looking for some information on a person who was here in the 1870s, which we provided every single piece of information we could find. We also provided a list of all the current Gawler buildings that are still in existence that were associated with that particular person. That would make a fabulous filming opportunity. So hopefully that will happen. We've also had some very interesting inquiries from overseas. We had a probate lawyer get in contact with us from Canada about tracing into a local family. So they're coming from far and wide. They're coming with all different sorts of inquiries. And I think the number reflects the fact that our reputation as a place of learning and research is growing in the wider community, not just our local community.
Thank you, Jacinta. Yes, Diane.
One of the inquiries, the Burmese royal family, how is that related to the town of Gawler?
Through the chair, some of them are fascinating. A princess of the Burmese royal family was in South Australia studying at Adelaide University in the 1940s, and she spent her holidays in Gawler with a family in Gawler, and so they were trying to find more information about that.
Yeah, what form do they take? I mean, how many, say, are walking off the street and how many are by phone or email? Just out of curiosity.
Chair, we don't differentiate. All of these are either email inquiries or phone inquiries. If they come into the centre during operating hours and we're helping them, we track that on our visitors to the research centre. So these are all email and phone inquiries. A number of these people eventually come in. We say we have this, and you can have a look at that, and then they will come in. But this is initially via phone or email.
Yeah, thank you. I think the growing importance of this Cultural Heritage Centre was what was envisaged when we first set this centre up. When we were first planning, some of you might remember, some of you may not, but when we were first planning what this might look like and how we understood this centre to be is exactly what you've presented in this report, is people understanding that this is a centre of excellence for heritage inquiries and heritage research. And we're really starting to develop that expertise, which is exactly where we saw this this centre going. So I think this is a great example of you know, that we've clearly set it up appropriately and on the right path.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that some of these stories now need to be marketed back to the community, to say exactly that. We are hitting it. We've got national TV channels. We've got overseas inquiries. So I think it's about letting the community know that it's more than just a little thing. Now, yeah, I just think we need to emphasise that.
So through the chair, I don't know. They don't tell you who they're doing. So they're quite circumspect. They give you a person from the 1870s, and I provide. I honestly can't remember at the top of my head. It's certainly not someone that we traditionally know of as famous within Gawler.
Any further discussion? No, Helen?
I am. Thank you very much for putting internal and external. I'd just like to note that we note that there are many now, starting to build up many internals. And I'm hope that that's given due consideration by the other parts of council staff, that, you know, it's an internal resource as well. So it's not only going to the more traditional type of family and local history, it's going into some of the decision making in other parts of council, which again was part of the centre of excellence idea.
Right, I gather this is just noted, so we don't. Oh, I do still. Okay, so a mover and a seconder for this then. Thank you. Someone else? No? Helen, a seconder? Adrian. Any further discussion? If not, those in favour, please show. Against, carried. Thank you. All right. 6.2, budget update. David.
Through the chair, very pleasing end of year result for the Heritage Centre overall. And just wanted to highlight point 4 in the report, which is on page 11 of the agenda, being the Cultural Heritage Centre reserve account that we're establishing, which is an excellent outcome. So that means that we'll have a reserve account within council's equity statements that quarantines all of those donations and deductible gifts that we receive. It'll grow year on year, and then we'll be bringing back opportunities to the committee for the expenditure of those funds in due course. That'll definitely help with doing the restorations of the collection and other items within that world. So it's really good that we've been able to establish that, and that'll be reflected in the end of financial year audit statements, etc., for council coming up.
Yes, thank you, David, and everyone for this report. I think if you take out the salaries, and the salaries are important, of course, absolutely, you need a human resource to run a centre, but if you look at the expenditure, it's really quite modest. And I think that also shows the efficiency of the centre. So I congratulate everyone for how this service is being run. Yeah, and I think, you know, I never have a problem with paying people appropriately for the service that is provided, and we should celebrate that. We are investing appropriately in a really high quality service.
Thank you, Karen. Di?
I think it was good to see that the storage costs are shrinking. I think that was really a good outcome, and also blown away by the dollar per hour for volunteers, $43 an hour. That's unbelievable. I know they do a great service, but I didn't realise it had gone up to $43 an hour.
Anyone else? Any other discussion, queries? If not, would someone like to move, please? Karen, seconded. Di. Any further discussion? If not, those in favour, please show. Against, carried. Thank you. 6.3. Request for permission to publish. Jacinta.
So through the chair, the committee would be aware of the importance of the eagle mascot and its history with the town of Gawler. So there has always been, in my time with the collection, interest in that particular item. And this request to publish has come from the cadet unit, but staff had considered for a while bringing back the eagle for a visit, not to have it permanently on display as it was before, because as the committee is aware, that's not our policy. We rotate items through to ensure their longevity and care. But we thought it would be lovely to have it back. There are people in the community who would enjoy seeing it. We thought this was an opportunity to bring it back as part of the Recovering the Past touring exhibition. We'll have it on display in the James Martin room for people who are coming, or potentially all the Institute Hall. We haven't decided yet, for people who are coming to see that exhibition. But this is a request from the cadet unit for permission to have a photograph of the cadets taken with the mascot that then will be published in a book.
Thank you, Jacinta. Di?
In the report, it's stating there how we're monitoring who photographs it and when it's photographed. If there's a photograph of it put up permanently in their headquarters, how do we prevent other people from photographing that?
So through the chair, there will be no way for us to prevent that. It's a bit like sometimes we put items from the collection on Facebook, and there's no way for us to challenge what happens after that time. I think we have to weigh up community access, the importance of objects to the stories that belong to this community, and the importance of those. And the fact is, the eagle, there are images of the eagle mascot freely available prior to this. So this is not a new image that, well, it will be, I'm sorry, it will be a new image, but the eagle mascot is available to anyone online who would like to access it. This is, I applaud the cadet unit for asking our permission. They could simply have taken one from that was already there. They're doing the right thing. They've been very free and positive with us working, coming in and helping us to understand exactly what their project is, how important it is to them. They've offered us a copy of the book, and it's not a commercially available book. It will simply be distributed to families who are involved in the cadets. So the cadets in Gawler have a long history, and they're celebrating that. And I think anything that we can do to encourage that celebration, where we have items in the collection that matter and that are part of that narrative, but as I say, are freely available online anyway. This is an opportunity for that mascot, rather than some of the images that are there, it will be professionally photographed. It will be in context with a whole lot of young cadets and their officers. It will be given the deference it deserves, and it's an opportunity for it to be seen and appreciated.
Thank you, Jacinta. Helen?
Yeah, I support this. I think it's, again, a good example of people asking permission. When we do supply the image, though, there's some paperwork that outlines, isn't there, the conditions under which it's supplied, and that, does that attach to the image, or how does that work?
So through the chair, this request for permission to publish is slightly different than the ones that have previously come before the committee, in that staff are not providing the image. A professional photographer will be coming in to provide the image. There will still be a permission slip that we use in there stating what the image will be used for, but staff will not be taking the photograph in this particular case.
So that would mean that the photographer, example, is fully aware of the conditions under which they take it, and they could not reproduce it. That's all I need to know. Good, thank you.
I have a question. How relevant is photograph copyright in this situation? Because original photographs are covered by copyright, and we've got two people who have interest in that copyright. We have people who are responsible for the eagle and the person taking the photo. So I'm just wondering, is that difficult to negotiate?
So through the chair, there is no copyright in the eagle anymore. That's expired. So there is copyright in the photograph. In our permission, we'll be stating clearly the applicable usages, which is what the request has been for that photograph. And we don't give permission for the photograph to be used other than that. The copyright still retained by the photographer, but the permission restricts the photographer for what they can do with that copyright.
Thank you, that's clarified. Any other discussion or questions? If not, would someone like to move this, please? Di, seconded by Adrian. No further discussion. Those in favour, please show. Against, carried. Thank you. 6.4, Conservation of Gawler's Institute minutes. Jacinta.
So through the chair, as outlined in the report, we've been using the Gawler Institute minutes more frequently as part of our research. We've been conducting research on behalf of the South Australian Museum on a number of items in the minutes, and we've been using them to understand further and create significant statements for objects in the collection and as part of the research for exhibitions. The first minute book and the rough minute book were obviously fragile, and it's very limited use. So it's essentially myself and Petra and one trained volunteer who have been using those. And because that they were fragile, they have been digitised. And as per the report, we're creating Word files, searchable Word files that we'll be able then to use when we're doing research. But these are really important items, as I'm sure you can appreciate. The fact that we might gain the information from them in a document doesn't in any way distract from the fact that those books were written by the people who set up the committee. They are a beautiful collection of different handwriting, different thoughts, different meanings. Some of the minutes, some of the months are quite detailed, other times they're quite sparse, but we feel that they're very important objects for the long-term community to understand and appreciate. So prior to this, most of the objects that we've brought before the committee for recommendation have been objects that will go on exhibition. So they've been paintings, they've been books, they've been the mayoral portraits, things like that. This is something that we feel needs preservation, not for exhibition, but for the Gawler community in 100 years or 150 years. The information will be available under strict controls, but the object in itself is important. It's the foundation of the Gawler Institute. And so we're asking for a recommendation that goes to Art Lab for long-term preservation.
I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation. I wouldn't mind speaking to it if I can. I rang John Clift today. He's not very well, but I felt it really important to let him know that this matter was going to be discussed. One of the first things John Clift said to me when we started on this journey of redeveloping this site was all about the minutes. And he said to me, and in the only way John can say it, don't let anyone get their hands on those minutes. And I said, I don't quite understand why you've said that to me. And then he explained, and he said back in 2001, when everything was changing, the institute associations were taking everything, ripping out, and they tried to get their hands on the minutes. And John very astutely wasn't able to find them. And promptly told, wonderful story, Judy, and and wasn't able to find them. But he said, you must not let anyone take those minutes. They are so important to this collection. They are probably one of the most important things. And he said it to me over and over again. And that's why I thought it was important to ring him today and let him know that I'm sure this will be supported. I certainly support it. And recognise the importance. And he talked about people like Laurie Ronan, who safeguarded the collection for over 50 years, and many other people before him. And so very much a strong advocate and champion, as we know, for the Institute collection as it was at the time. So I just thought I'd relay that to you, and he was really appreciative of the phone call. He's not well at all, as we know, but he was really appreciative of just knowing that we are safeguarding these items for prosperity. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Hopefully we can get back to him and tell him what we've voted on. Helen.
I also strongly support this. And I was there when poor old Bob Broad, who was the last secretary of the Institutes Association, was sent out by the Libraries Board to claim it. So, and it was Bob who actually, he understood exactly what was happening. And he said to me, I understand this is such an important institute in the scheme of things, all those years ago. You know, that's going back a long time. So I think it's really valuable. I think it's one of the as Jacinta said, one of the foundation objects that's within the collection. So I'd like to see this go through. Thank you.
Now we have two choices here. Is that right? Any further discussion? Paul?
Yeah, just a technical question. What do they actually do with the minutes? It talks about complete repair of paper sections. What does that mean? Oh, yep, sorry.
Apologies. So one of the books needs a new supporting cover and it needs to be rethreaded. There are tears in the book. And when you have a full conservation, they'll put very fine paper in there, which over time the fibres blend in so that they sort of amalgamate in the heat, and just the weight of the book and everything else will bring that in so that the fibres start to create a new piece in there, and that supports the book. There are some staining on various, so that it's obviously been exposed to some moisture at some point in time. So they'll remove that as much as they can with a poultice to take some of the moisture out. So it's quite detailed. They'll need about a week to work full time on both of the books. And then they'll be returned to us with supporting covers so that whenever they're handled, you're not actually using the spine. So the second option for full conservation was about giving them the absolute best chance to be accessible documents for the next couple of 100 years, as opposed to we could just keep them as they slowly deteriorated. This is stopping any further deterioration and supporting them so that they could be accessed if needs be. As the report outlines, we've digitised them. We're now using that digitised copy, so that shouldn't really need, but there may well be a reason why we might decide to grant access, physical access. But this is to prevent any further deterioration and really give them the best possible opportunity to be available in a couple of 100 years' time.
Well, once this work's been done, how will they be stored? Will they be stored differently to the other records?
So through the chair, they're stored in a polypropylene grey box, which is water resistant but breathes. So essentially they'll be stored the same way as the others, but we are in the process of building supports for all of the books so that they're individually supported within a box.
Yeah.
It just occurs to me that archival process is of great interest. And I'm just wondering how Art Lab might feel if we asked, and we might have to produce the person to video or film in some way.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Thank you.
So through the chair, the committee might remember that we did ask that with the Institute banner and they said no.
Yeah, that's a great pity because there's been some really good documentaries from the V&A where they actually photograph quite delicate restoration.
Actually, I've just thought of something. And I don't know whether they do them anymore, but I went along with a group and we had a tour of Art Lab where they showed us things being worked on, a wide variety of things, but that was probably about maybe 25 years ago. So I don't know whether they still do that.
So through the chair, they do still do tours of Art Lab, so you can book into those. It's on the website if you're interested, and it's certainly a worthwhile thing to have a look at.
Is it worth pursuing? I know they said no, but if we got the ABC or someone interested in doing story and, you know, a local story and film it, would they change their mind, do you think?
So through the chair, I'm certainly very happy to pursue, if the committee would like that, any opportunity so we can work with a television program perhaps, and speak to Art Lab as well. So I'm very happy to pursue that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Any other questions? If not, would someone like to move that way? Oh, sorry, we need a seconder. Helen. Okay, those in favour, please show. Against, carried. All right, 7. Updated motion list. Everyone's got that in front of them. Any discussion, any queries? No? Please, Karen.
The portrait of a fashionable lady, how's that going?
So through the chair, the portrait is back and it's in the storage downstairs. The frame came back, but it was still twisted in a little part of the frame. So it's gone back to the conservator. It's currently down there. When that comes back, and I'm hoping that will be next week, it will be reassembled together. We haven't had any correspondence from the Victorian Albert about the signature. They do say that it can take 28 days before they respond to inquiries. So they're still within that time frame. So we are trying to look at other sources of information about that particular artist. It hasn't been easy. There's not a lot of books written about that, but so we are bringing it back hopefully soon. And then we'll be looking at installing it in the reading room with some updated interpretation. And this might be an opportunity to just let the committee know that the Bechstein was tuned this morning. So it's had a tune. It's doing quite well for its age. The strings are becoming problematic because they're so old. So forgive me, I'm not a musician. It's not concert pitch, it's 30 degrees below. I've got the right terminology. And that's due to the age of the strings, and the soundboard is a little bit fragile so that they can't be really tightly tuned, but it's in very good. It sounds lovely. We did enjoy listening to it. So we're moving forward with our program to have people playing it at lunchtime. I think the community will thoroughly enjoy looking at the new painting and listening to that Bechstein and the talented people in our community who are going to get the opportunity to play it.
Thank you, Jacinta. Anything else that anyone wants? Yes, Helen?
Yeah, I just think that we need to, and I'll talk to you, Jacinta, I think we need to include the Barnett family in whatever we do with that, because there will be some interest in seeing that hung, even though Bertha was not one of the more prominent women in the family. It's Robert, and the connections there will be, I'm sure, appreciated. So yeah, just bear that in mind.
Right. Now, do we need to vote on this one? No. All right. Anything that anyone wants to list for future meetings? We've got exhibition feedback. Do we want to follow that up, or?
So through the chair, we thought we'd bring to the committee at the next meeting the exhibition feedback opportunities that will be there for recovering the past and the initial planning of the feedback opportunities for the new exhibition.
Thank you. Are there any questions without notice? Just one from me, sorry. I just think we've brought up, and I've already raised it, about stories for the bunyip, which I think is really very important. Some very incredible things have come up. I mean, a Burmese princess, who do you think you are? The newly tuned Bechstein, the lovely portrait which is about to be returned to us. I think there's a whole lot of lovely stories. And why I've raised it again is because I'm prepared to help write some of them if you would like me to. All right, because I know you're busy and I know you've got a lot of
Thank you, Chair. We appreciate the help. As you can see, we're spending a lot of time answering heritage inquiries, so we would appreciate that. I think we have to be a little bit mindful that with family history inquiries, people may not necessarily want that in the public domain. The Burmese princess is potentially will come out in a book, and so there are, but there are plenty of good news stories that could be told about the work that's being undertaken in the Cultural Heritage Centre.
Yeah, and it could be just done without being specific to.
Yes.
Helen, did you want to say?
Yes,
something?
and I'm just thinking through the research that's now starting to happen, and I mean, items are suddenly becoming much more significant. I'm thinking of the Henschke sketch. I mean, you know, all of a sudden things are popping up, and they are definitely of state, if not national importance, because once you start researching it, you know, still not sure why the elephant's in the collection, but lots of other things are very interesting.
Any motions without notice? No? If not, thank you, everyone. I'll close the meeting, and our next meeting is the 9th of September.